Okay, hello. Alright, that took a little bit of work, but I finally got it. Sorry about the 5-minute... Yeah, 5 minutes of silence because I was stuck figuring out how to pick up my headphones. Just decided to give the broadcast feature a try, and why not one of my favorite games of all time, Castlevaina Symphony of the Night. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Mine was pretty good, even though I went into a food coma, but that's proof of a good Thanksgiving. You know, it might just be me, but something feels off about the PlayStation version of this game. Like, some of the timing and stuff doesn't feel the same. It's hard to describe. I've played this game several times and I know it really well, but yet... Hey, YYTT, playing around with some Symphony of the Night. I was just saying that the PlayStation 4 Requiem port feels a little weird. As much as I played this game, I seem to be taking hits more often than I normally do, so it feels like some of the timing on the attacks and whatnot is off. Figured this would be a good game to test the streaming with, since it's my favorite Castlevaina. Not really coming here for stellar gameplay, I hope. Yeah, one weird thing I have noticed, and you would think it wouldn't be an issue with this port, the Xbox 360 port actually has faster load times, because when you initially boot the game up, you still have like a second where you can play around with the little loading screen icon. The 360 port, it loads so fast you don't even have time to move it. Well, how was your Thanksgiving, YYTT? Some of these... Even these frogs, it feels like I'm having a little more of a issue. Oh, I'm gonna have to come back up for that. You should give that version a try. It's probably identical to the 360 port, so it should have the faster load times. I just got the relic that stops water from hurting me. I actually went ahead and got that before I beat a certain boss. I wish I would have tried to have streamed it by then so I can show a trick where you can actually get behind the boss and not really cheese him, but he's a lot easier to damage that way. Another thing I noticed, like, I don't know what it is, but with this port, like, it's kind of harder to pull the spells off. My Thanksgiving was pretty good. I overate, which goes without saying. Putting the bacon on the turkey was a brilliant idea. That turkey was delicious. And after eating it for a couple days, I'll freeze what's left and make a turkey soup. I even have some of the dressing. I mean, not the dressing, the drippings from the turkey. That's gonna be the base for the soup. Rained a little bit this morning. So, replenish my health, save, then try and make the trek up the clock tower. What are your plans for the rest of the weekend? I didn't save the bones, I chucked them in the dumpster. I should have it. Well, I still have the drumsticks in the free refrigerator. I might trim them. So these new voices really take some getting used to. The clock tower, nobody's favorite Castlevaina stage. Morning, Chad. Just figured I'd test out the broadcast feature. Took me a few minutes longer than I thought. I didn't realize I had to go in on the settings and manually select to turn the microphone on. This part is really... Oh, this part is... I swear I'm a lot better at this game than it looks. Armored Fleamen, I forgot about these nightmare spawn. But now I have extra health, and now to blame the to brave the armored abominations again. I hope you Fleamen got a tofu turkey for Thanksgiving. You played Castlevania before, you know Fleamen are the most annoying enemy. The Medusa can be bad too, but they have a more predictable arc. Tombstone's a great one. I watched a few episodes of MASH, and I watched The names... I hate when names just fly out of my head. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Great combination with John Candy and Steve Martin. I hate these ghost ones. Healing mail. Let's see. Restores HP while walking. Convolutedly long, be a pretty long way to restore your health before a boss room, but decent even if the damage isn't as good, so I'm not going to keep it for long. You ever play this game before, Chad? This one I don't remember being too hard. As you can see right now, I got it pretty much stun locked. Double jump hit. Jump hit. Some bosses in this can be pretty challenging, but this one, as you can see, is fairly easy to cheese. Let's see. I'm not quite in the beginning YYTT, but I'm not too far in. That's like my third or fourth boss. There's actually an armor you can find that breaks the spikes. It's kind of painfully... I had that problem for the longest time with the game myself. It's actually kind of simple. Once you find the spike breaker armor, then you can get through that hallway really easy. And then you get, it gives you another ring. Once you get that, you go to the clock tower. It opens up this room, and you can get the glasses to wear for the fight with Richter, so you can go to the inverted castle. One thing I do plan on showing off when I get in there is how to get the Crissaegrum. It's a painfully broken weapon that just, like, creates a wall of death for the enemy, but it's also an insane lot of fun to use in the inverted castle. In fact, the Crissaegrum, it's so overpowered, you can literally beat the final boss just by repeatedly pressing the attack button. It's just tricky to get because it's a rare item drop, and even when it does drop, if you don't... There's a room where you can cheese it, and if you don't wait a second, you'll drop down and a enemy will knock you back into the next room. Yeah, I'd like to see them do a DS collection too. And a 3D collection. Just put, like... Well, maybe not the God of War clone ones, I can't even think of the name of that series now, but do the DS collection and do the 3D collection. Give us Castlevaina 64 Legacy of Darkness, Lament of Innocence, and Curse of Darkness, Lament of Innocence. Yeah, Lord of Shadows. Wasn't the biggest fan of those games. They were good. They're good for what they are, but the story is just a little more grimdark than I like my Castlevania. And I really hate the twist of Dracula being a Belmont. And look, they ended it too soon. End of the second game. By the end of the first game, Dracula's redeemed. There's a game that branches the story, so from that to the end of the second game, he goes from being fallen to redeemed, so, like, it never gave itself enough time to really be its own thing. You know, the voice of Gabriel Belmont was really good. And I do feel the Netflix series, in a lot of ways, it owes more to Lord of Shadows than it does the original series, because it has that brutal, unforgiving tone to it. My webcam's hooked up to my computer. I have my PS4 in the living room. I'm doing this through just PlayStation broadcast. Figured this would be a good game to test it out. I want to get Untitled Goose Game and do that live. That game is just a ton of fun, getting to troll and torment an entire neighborhood with a goose. If you were in that game, YYTT, you could be the final boss for the goose to face. But you could be this absolute monster of a goose, locking people in garages, stealing their stuff. Like, real life, someone would shoot that goose. Forget, the soundtrack for this game is never not amazing. This wasn't the most, obviously wasn't the most graphically advanced game of its time, but you want to talk about something that showed off the power of the PlayStation 1 sound chip. This game did the trick. And now I need to get the stopwatch? Because I accidentally lost it in the clock towers, mad dash. Got you. I could. I don't know how I would do it, but it shouldn't be too hard to set everything up in the dining room with my computer and stream with the webcam. Now that I think about it, I just have to bring in something on the side for the PlayStation. Don't ask me why I just backtracked. Streaming this is making me second guess myself more than normal. I've heard it, and it really is like a whole different animal when you're watching the chat and playing with the game. And yeah, that flea man can just take a timeout. The joke shield, more hearts, the joke mail, and the joke sword. Almost a complete waste coming in here, but not entirely. And now more health. Boomerang skeletons. Not the most fun enemy. Actually, I don't think I want to be in this room just yet. One of Castlevainia's best soundtracks, even though it sadly omits bloody tears. But I've heard, like, what was supposedly meant to be this game's version of bloody tears, which was a more rock-sounding version, and if it was real, I'm kind of glad it got omitted, because it's by far my least favorite version of Bloody Tears. That was the room I didn't want to be in yet. It's funny, this game came out right in the height of when just polygon graphics were really taking off. And out of all the games that came out back then, it's games like this that have actually aged and still look the best, where like the early PlayStation and the Nintendo 64 games look just really bad with how they've aged. Especially N64 games, like, there are characters that are just unintentional nightmare fuel that look like some kind of eldritch abomination. It wasn't till like the halfway towards the end of that generation that they really finally started getting... Oh, I missed a weapon pickup. And all that for a heart. I might want the holy water for the boss. some of these hit hard in here. Not as hard as any of the enemies in the inverted castle, which is why I highly recommend, especially if it's your first time, getting the Crissaegrum. This way you can just cheese your way through the inverted castle. But that was like such a big thing in this game, like, I didn't even know even the inverted castle was actually a thing for a while. So to have 2 full castles in this game, it was really the biggest Castlevaina of the time. I know it's the first one I ever beat, so it's got a... well, not that room. Those horsemen do a ton of damage. There's one room in this area, like if you have the advanced mist form, where you can stay in mist form, you can do an insane amount of cheesing the game for money. One thing I like about this track in here when it first begins, like, you get that nice ambient opening notes, and then it goes into just this more kind of almost jazzy sound. I have almost... Look, I have almost anything in the game. Everything in the game I am just lost in. Yeah, it can be easy to get lost in this one. Look, this is a game where YouTube can really be your friend. I wish I had an axe, because I think there's actually a breakable ceiling somewhere in here.
Who are you? Servants, come forth from the gates of hell!
How did they manage to make the voice acting so much worse?
Attack! Rid my castle of this pest!
Okay, this is not holding well for me. I swear I'm better at this game. Yeah, this is a new voice acting. It was something apparently PlayStation, like, specifically wanted for this port, and although the voice acting in the original admittedly wasn't the best, and for the most part is kind of par for the course for the time, it had its good moments, especially Alucard's, Where with this, a lot of the time it just really feels more wooden. And the new voice acting, like, if you're familiar with the old voice acting, it can be kind of distracting because it's, like, wait a minute, that's not how that's supposed to sound. And from what I understand, that is a contention with a lot of people that have played the original. Like, it's pretty much agreed for the most part. This is a great port of both this and Rondo of Blood, but the new voice acting for this across the board seems like it doesn't get the most love. There's the mist. Another pro tip, like, if you're gonna play this port, use the D-pad, not the joystick. Well, for any of these older games that get a modern port. They're really designed for directional pads, and it shows. As much as I love Castlevaina Symphony of the Night, my third favorite game of all time, depending how I feel, maybe my second, this is also the game that started the trope that everything has to be in the castle and that the castle is one giant maze. There is something nice about the just straightforwardness of the classic formula that has been lost. Wrong door. That's a big double nope. I can't show it to you because of the guy with the ball and chain, but that enemy with the owl, you can actually get several free hits on him if you kill the owl first. So I'm gonna try and go for it and see if I can lure him. Oh, there. Well, I didn't get to take advantage of it, but you see once I downed his owl, he dropped for a minute to check on his bird. And when he does that, you can get several free hits on him. This room here, if you have the form of mist, like, that's where you can do the disgusting level of money farming. Because there's a bag that drops like 2,000. But attempting that room right now is an absolute death wish. Everything in there will tear me to pieces.
Who are you? Servants, come forth from the gates of hell!
What's weird...
The scent of your blood. You're a Belmont! Attack! Rid my castle of this pest!
What's weird about the new voice acting is, fairly certain the guy who voices the... Orman is actually the voice of... Richter.
A Belmont for
in
certain.
the...
So he says he's the lord of this castle.
I was saying, I'm fairly certain the guy who voices the Orman is the original voice of Richter Belmont, which is weird because if he is, why not bring him back to actually voice Richter instead of this guy who just... I don't know the voice actor's name, and... no disrespect to him, but he is not as good as the original Richter. The voice acting in this feels a lot more wooden. Okay, what gives? I got the mist. And it's turned on. Okay, that explains it. Rather than being one button, it's both. And thanks for the vote of confidence, Chad. I thankfully got it. Well, it's like I said, this version does feel more difficult. I wish you could do this on the Xbox too, so I can do a little bit of that port and compare to kind of verify it on stream. But alas, PlayStation actually paid YouTube to actually have this direct broadcast feature be exclusive to their content. Apparently is a hack around where you can kinda, sorta do it with the Xbox Series X, but you gotta have, like, some kind of third-party app on your phone, and that becomes the mediator. Where am I supposed to go now? But yeah, it's some kind of app that sorta, kinda is a third-party mediator, as I said, and you can do it, but it sounds really complicated, and I hadn't tried it. I do not like this stairwell. It's like the rest of the game is more or less just this path, but to have that whole path on an angle instead of just straightforward, it just like throws off the timing of the attacks you have to do there. I think I know where I need to go for the bat. Yeah, that's what I need now to really unlock the rest of the castle. Well, not the rest, but a good portion of the castle. So I've been looking at some stuff about some Warhammer books, and I want to get the Infinite and the Divine. It's about two Necrons called Trazyn the Infinite and Orican the Diviner. Necrons, for those that don't know, they're souls trapped in robot bodies. The backstory's complicated, but this book sounds hilarious. It's these two guys that hate each other, constantly trying to... Okay, take it easy, YYTT. Have a good day at work. These two people, they don't like each other, and they're trying to constantly one-up each other, and they're feuding over this device that may or may not do something on one particular planet. And Trazyn himself, he's a hilarious character. Like, pretty much most every other character faction in Warhammer has their fans and their detractors, but people universally love Trazyn the Infinite, who's the galaxy's biggest troll, and he's a collector slash kleptomaniac. He feels it falls on him to preserve relics from civilizations throughout galactic history. And he has this massive collection in a museum that only he gets to see, and he's like super hated even by his own people. He's been banned from several Necron tomb worlds because he likes to steal so much, even the main one because he tried to steal Imhotep the Stormlord's staff. But there's one part I heard about in the book. Trazyn is getting mad because Orican keeps one-upping him because Orican can, like, see into the future, so he spends hundreds of years figuring out how to hack into Orican's base or whatever it is, just so he can shoot him in the face, even though Necrons really can't die because if the body gets destroyed, their consciousness gets downloaded into another body, and he does it. He shoots Orican in the face, and Orican's like, "What'd you do that for? You know you can't kill me." And he's like, "Yeah, I know, but it made me feel better." And actually, Necrons can die, but it's just really hard. Something happens in their feud, and they, like, wind up killing a bunch of Necrons. So they have to go in front of Necron Court, which who knows how long that is, because Necrons, because they're functionally immortal, like, they handle the passage of time differently than us. Like, a 30-year-long play for them would be like a 3-hour movie for us. So they go in front of Necron Court, and the punishment dealt out for the two is, well, since you two hate each other so much, we're gonna order you to spend 10,000 years together. There is no greater punishment we can give you than each other. So yeah, that book just sounds hilarious, and just Trazyn the Infinite is such a great character. Like, just reading lore or watching videos about him, it's about guaranteed to just get a chuckle out of you. Stone mask. I was about to say, what gives? I know that's Holy Rod. There was like a delay on that bookcase twisting. This guy isn't as hard as he is tedious because he keeps summoning enemies. Form of the bat. And now the castle can really open up to me. Now I need to find fire of the bat and sonar of the bat. Oh, bat form can be so nice sometimes. Those enemies there that summon the lightning attack, like, you can pick up a rapier from them, but the rapier will not do that in the game, tragically, and that's like such a just cheap... Wait a minute, I can get the sword familiar now! Fairy card, which is nice to have. But yeah, sword familiar. Let's go. The sword familiar is actually cool because if you max level it up, it becomes a weapon. In the if you've seen the Castlevaina animated series, the sword Alucard uses that seems like it can attack on its own is actually the sword familiar, which is my favorite familiar to use in the game. There's the ghost, there's the fairy, there's the demon, and there's the sword. There's two spots where you have to use the demon to progress because he'll press the switch for you. And he'll occasionally attack, but I prefer the sword familiar because his attacks are just more consistent. The fairy can help you out with some things. As far as support, the ghost I've never really used. Like, I think there's a few enemies that he'll even get scared of. Why? I don't know. He's a ghost. Hey there. You dead. Come on. Yep, now we're officially in the the Christmas rush. One thing I hate about this time of year is how the stores become an absolute unbearable madhouse. No, that ain't it. I tend to make it a point to avoid Black Friday. As far as the deals, though, well, store-wise anyway, as far as the Black Friday deals, I grabbed Ghost of Tsushima for $20, which is, I'm glad I did. That game is real impressive. I really just wanted this PlayStation for... Well, there were 4 main games I wanted to play. Ghost of Tsushima, Bloodborne, Until Dawn, and Ghost of Tsushima. One of them's slipping me now, but I've mostly gotten the games I've meant to play. Claymore, which can be a pretty good weapon. Not sure if I'm at a high enough level for this one, but let's go. And I realized I'm in the wrong place for the sword familiar.
Mother!
Alucard, is that you?
I'm coming, Mother! I'll save you!
No, Alucard, stay away!
Mother!
It's all right. If my death can save others, I gladly surrender my life.
No! I won't let this happen!
It's too late. Just stay with me. Hear my last words to you.
Yes, Mother.
Humans. You cannot live with them. You can only hate them, do them harm.
What?
Theirs is such a hard lot. Release them from their pain. Begin with the ones who killed me.
No.
Okay, that's a
like
nice
this.
touch.
Alucard, what's wrong?
My mother never said such a thing.
What do you mean? I am your mother. Do as I say. Release them. Kill them.
No. You are not my mother. What kind of demon are you?
Strong enough to break my spell, I like that.
You deserve worse than death for this, demon.
Then give it to me, little boy. Don't be shy.
Okay, the translation there, that was a nice touch because that was actually a play on what the message he gave Dracula at the end of the game with what his mother's real last words were. Yeah, this is definitely an up to difficulty. Like, originally, this boss could not put the curse status on me. So yeah, it's not just me. They've definitely made this harder.
Darkling, I smell your blood, your hunger. That strength, that beauty. You really are the son of Lord Dracula.
Death in the dream world will set your soul wandering for eternity, demon.
Wait! I beg of you! Ah!
But yeah, they've definitely made this... Oh, that is interesting. I'm actually kind of liking that now that I realize that with that status element. This is kind of like a unofficial challenge run. Which makes me definitely want to go... Yeah, that's your... Don't mess with his mom is right. Like, I definitely wouldn't want to go through the invert castle without the Castlevaina now. You know, I know him. I mean, the fact that, like, this is a more difficult version makes it harder. I think this streaming and playing is gonna take some getting used to, but I'm definitely, because this is a harder version, I'm definitely gonna want to seek the Castlevaina out. Let's see, where would that be? Wait a minute, what am I doing? Fall, Alucard, fall. I forgot something. If they keep giving us these collections, why not do the next step and give us another Castlevaina? Like, they've been quietly sleeping on the Demon Castle War for decades. We get Aria of Sorrow on the Game Boy Advance, where you play as a reincarnated Dracula, and he was defeated in the Demon Castle War. It's such a major event in the franchise, but for some reason, they don't see fit to actually make a game about the Demon Castle War. Best we can hope for will probably ever be like a fan comic or something. Oh, one of my favorite shields. Blocking can now increase my hearts. A gorilla skeleton dropped bananas. That's a thing that just happened in a Castlevaina game. Come on, gorilla skeleton, I need you to throw the barrel. Wait, is that... did they kill Donkey Kong? And now the path to the catacombs is open, but I'm not going there yet because I'm not ready for Cerberus. Look, the catacombs is by far the hardest part of the standard castle. The enemies, including the bosses, hit ridiculously hard. And that's, but it is also where we get the Spike Breaker armor. Another thing, it was the longest time before I realized in this game was that there was an artifact that stops water from damaging you. Would that have ever made my early career of Symphony of the Night a whole lot more manageable? I think the zombie spawn rate is even slightly faster. This here might be my favorite track in the game. Now, Castlevaina is a serious contender for greatest soundtrack in gaming. As much as I love the formula, that is the downside to these games, is all the backtracking. Been playing God of War 2018 today a lot lately. Not gonna get into too much without backtracking because a friend Lethal One's doing a stream too, and I don't want to accidentally spoil anything because where I got business really just picked up. I gotta get Ragnarok. pretty good. I'm past the halfway point. I can't get into it without spoiling in case my friend happens to be watching this at a later point, but I like it. I actually much prefer this version of Kratos to the older Kratos, who is who just comes off as a petulant man-child on a never-ending temper tantrum. I mean, seriously, he gets empowered to take Ares down because of what Ares was doing in the first game. And then in the second game, he goes on to do the same thing and gets mad when the other gods stop him. Like, Kratos, my dude, you can't have it both ways. I also think, because I joke about him being on a temper tantrum, it's hilarious that one of his attacks in the second game is essentially him stomping his foot on the ground. So, you know, the temper tantrum is complete. And I just realized I'm gonna have to get the clock again. The bat familiar is kind of throwing me off because I keep wanting to turn around and attack them. I've never messed with the bat before, so I'm just kind of showing him off. There's actually a trophy for turning into the bat while you have the bat familiar. Two best friends forever. So there you go if you're an achievement hunter and you didn't realize that. There's an achievement for you. I do like this is a nice touch, though, the question mark that pops up over his head when I turn back into Alucard. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to go into this room yet, in addition to these enemies, which are no fun to deal with. First, since I went to the warp gate, now's a good time to save. I do notice every now and then there is like a slight delay in the port, like the save box won't go around you right away, or especially more commonly after an event if you go through a door. like, the game will briefly pause, so it's not as fluid of a transition. These warp gates are nice. It's a lot more fun to come up here with the bat fire because you can just shoot the fire off instead of having to turn back to pick up items. VS stock. Now, the S stock can be a really handy two-handed weapon. Two-handed weapons are kinda good and bad in this game. But they're good because they do a boatload of damage, but they're bad because they leave you more wide open to attack, so it's one of those things where if you use it, you have to play more carefully because you're more susceptible to damage. And with this, we have relics, Jewel of Open, back card, fairy card. Relics. Okay. This is supposed to be the sword familiar. Huh. Okay, interesting. Look, that really threw me for a loop. yeah, the sword familiar's, for my money, the best as far as offensive, but I got a second fairy, which I wasn't expecting, which means this is interesting. I'm gonna have to do some homework. You know a game really well, then it throws you, curveball. There's new familiars in this. Watch them use like a dirty trick and you can't get it till the inverted castle. Well, I'm gonna get some lunch, so you have a nice day, Chad, and anyone watching this have a nice day, Chad, and anyone watching this afterwards. I'm still kind of getting the hang of this, so just bear with me. Like, share, subscribe if you're watching this after. Over and out.